Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is our WWE show for the week. Let's start off with the so-so segments. The segments that weren't bad, weren't good, were pretty much forgettable. First off, Alberto Del Rio versus Batista in an Elimination Chamber rematch. This time Del Rio picks up the win while Batista's kind of distracted by Randy Orton. You get a kind of maybe sort of put your feet in the water heel turn on Batista. See how the fans react to what he was saying. Wasn't all the way heel, wasn't all the way face, kind of in between. So maybe they're teasing that going forward. Next up we had Sheamus versus Christian. I don't know what it is with this run with Christian. He doesn't seem to be on top of his game, and I don't know, to me, maybe it's time for Christian to move on to greener pastures, maybe become a trainer or something. I don't know what it is, just for some reason he's not hitting it for me anymore. Sheamus picks up the win in this one. And from there, we're going to move into our bad segment. Now, we only had one thing and one thing only in our bad segment. And that's starting off our show with Hulk Hogan. Now, I know a lot of people were happy that Hogan came back to WWE. What I thought was really funny and hypocritical is the same people that bashed Hogan being on TNA so much and bashed TNA for using Hogan were marking out the second that Real American hit. That Twitter was filled with, "I'm so glad Hogan's back where he belongs. Hogan, with WrestleMania are meant to be together." But 3 months ago when he was doing the same thing in TNA, it was Hogan needs to retire, Hogan needs to go away. You can't have it both ways. You can't be anti-Hogan and pro-Hogan at the same time. Do I think that Hogan belongs in WWE? Do I think he's probably, with the nostalgia factor, with the WWE Network and WrestleMania 30, does he have a place? Yes, he does. But the same reasons I hated him in TNA or disliked him in TNA are going to be the same reasons I dislike him in WWE. Ultimately, Hulk Hogan is only out for one person and one person only, and that's Hulk Hogan. And he will continue to put himself over at the expense of everybody else on the roster. Just one man's opinion. Somebody I'm not happy about. It was the one bad thing I took away from the show. Now, before we get into our good section, we're going to go into our question of the week. As we all know, the WWE Network launched with some trepidation, some issues. We won't talk about them here. We had our question of the week, though, last week, was what is the first pay-per-view you're going to watch on the network? Here's some answers from our friends before the one I actually did watch first. Josh Young, either King of the Ring 96 or WrestleMania 17. Both really good, both very Austin-centric. You get the Austin 316 and Austin vs. The Rock. Next one, Infinite Skittles. The first pay-per-view I'm going to watch is 2004 Royal Rumble because that is my favorite Royal Rumble match with Benoit winning. Awesome pay-per-view. Couldn't agree more. I thoroughly enjoyed that Royal Rumble. It's one of the best actual Royal Rumble matches. I'm partial to the one that Ric Flair won. I forget what year it is. I want to say 92, where he won the world title in the Rumble. I thought that was pretty awesome too. Next up from our friend Dizzlepup. To answer your question, the international rollout of the network is very slow. Won't be here in New Zealand, until late 2014, early 2015. But I think I'll be into some old Survivor Series matches and King of the Ring tournaments. Good call. Seems that we have a little bit of a theme going here. People miss the King of the Ring, it looks like. Next is from our friend Cyan Williams. The 60-minute Iron match with Brett and Shawn coming from WrestleMania 12. Great match, one of the great matches in the history of wrestling. And last but not least, our friend Brandon, aka at AUP116 from Twitter. For the question of the week, for next week, WrestleMania 30 is a given, but the first I want to see would be Payback or Battleground. So 2 recent pay-per-views. The first one I watched was, I wanted to go, everybody knows I'm a huge ECW mark. And I've seen and can remember pretty much every ECW pay-per-view that they've got on there. I ordered them all on their original showing. So I wanted to go back to one I didn't remember, something I didn't remember as much, and get it fresh in my head. And that was Starrcade 89 Future Shock, which, if you haven't seen it, it's a pretty good show. It's a round-robin tournament with tag teams and singles wrestlers. The 4 singles are Sting, Flair, Luger, and the Great Muta. And the tag teams are Doom, the Steiner Brothers, the Fabulous Freebirds, and the Road Warriors. So all together, or no, not the Freebirds, the Samoan SWAT team. I'm sorry about that. It was originally going to be the Freebirds, but they switched out to the SWAT team. Anyway, great show either way. Fun show to watch, especially if you got the network. Check it out. Another one that I was watching that I had a lot of fun with, I watched the Wrestling Classic, which was a one-day tournament as well from '85. Had guys like Savage, the British Bulldogs, Nikita Koloff, Tito Santana. I mean, just a great little one-off show. Obviously, any of the ECW pay-per-views I recommend, especially Guilty as Charged 99, a show that I was actually at. But, you know, a lot of really cool stuff on there. A lot of stuff to sink your teeth into and get into and watch and have fun. Now, our question of the week for next week is, with all this, it made me think of something, with all the different announcers I watched over the past few days. Who is your favorite announcer of all time? Could be the color man, could be a straight guy. Let us know what you think. Hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on Twitter, put it down where? Down there in the comments. Now we're going to get into the good segment of the show. First up, Big E versus Cesaro. 2 guys that had their names shortened recently. Big E picks up the win when Jack Swagger gets involved, seemingly to forward the issues with Swagger and Cesaro, breaking them up eventually. I enjoyed this match. I thought there was a lot of really cool stuff in it, a lot of, you know, back and forth between the two, shows of power, different kinds of strength between the two as well. Awkward looking neutralizer after the match. I don't know if Big E was hurt or not, but it looked kind of awkward. Either way, good match, good storyline good storyline going forward with Cesaro and Swagger potentially breaking up. Big E and Cesaro both look good coming out of the match, I thought, which is what you want to do with any match. Coming off of that, something else I really liked was Cena calling out the Wyatts and getting a beatdown and having his knee injured, which we're being told now is a work. I thought it was a cool little segment. Anytime you elevate new heels up to the main event status like you have with Bray Wyatt and his family now, I think it's good. I think it's going to be good for business. I think their match at WrestleMania, which, if they go with Cena versus Bray Wyatt, I think it's going to be a really good match. If it's Cena and 2 randoms versus the Wyatt family, I don't know so much how good it'll be. But either way, it'll be interesting. Next up, something that was rather interesting, Daniel Bryan versus Kane. In a really solid match, Daniel Bryan picks up the win, continues to call out Triple H for WrestleMania. It seems to be that this is what they're going to try and placate us with, what they want us to root for Bryan to do other than go for the world title. The funny thing is that everybody wants Daniel Bryan wrestling for the world title, but he was able to get us to cheer for a match that we don't want to see. That is how over the guy is, and it's amazing, and it's a testament to him. I'm hoping they do a WrestleMania 9 and somehow he either gets put into the title match or comes out after a weird screwy ending, maybe with Hogan even involved, and wins it that way. Next up, I'm happy to say we have a Divas match in the good section. Emma versus Summer Rae. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. It hasn't been as good as some of the stuff the two of them have done together in NXT. Emma picks up the win. I really enjoyed the heel factors of what Summer Rae was doing. Taunting Santino with asking her if he thinks that Emma's pretty, or why doesn't he save her. I thought it was really cool how they worked it. Good, nice little ring psychology. Both of these girls I see having great upside. Summer Rae, the more and more I see her, she reminds me of a hybrid between Tori Wilson and Stacy Keibler, which is really good for both of them. A little bit, I actually think she's a better wrestler than either of them, to be honest with you. But kind of their styles blended together. And Emma, I think, is someone that we'll see as it goes on, that her wrestling ability is a lot better than the gimmick she has, and that therefore makes us care about the gimmick more. Next thing we had was the New Age Outlaws versus the Uso brothers. I enjoyed this for the sheer WTF factor. Yeah, the Outlaws come out, said respect us, started going in their spiel. One of the Usos super kicks him in the face, super kicks Road Dogg in the face. They hit the flying splash, pick up a quick win, puts the Usos right back in the title contention. I could see this being something that they drag out to WrestleMania, so Uso brothers get their WrestleMania moment, becoming the World Tag Team Champions. Which is the way it has to go at this point. I mean, I can't see it going any other way. Now, next up was Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt. We seen earlier they mentioned you take one-on-one, and if you leave your family back, I'll leave the hounds back. It was a very, very good, solid match between these two. And I like first matches of guys to go like this, because they left enough on the table where if this is the main event at SummerSlam, let's say, there's more they could do. They didn't bust out their entire bag of tricks for this one match. They gave us a solid match, but they left us stuff to build on. Eventually the Wyatts and the Shield get involved. I'm guessing Bray Wyatt won because Ambrose attacked Wyatt first. I think it's going to be a little something that they carry on while Cena is injured to keep the Shield occupied. I think this will be what leads to the Shield's breakup somehow, and then we'll get either a three-way match at WrestleMania or something along that lines. Speaking of WrestleMania, our final segment of the night, we have Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman coming out talking about they have an open contract, but it's a classic WWE move. They give you something that you don't want and won't give you the one thing you truly do, because Brock wants a world title shot. However, they give him an open contract to fight anybody to make history. They decline the open contract, go to walk away. We hear the familiar music. Out comes The Undertaker. Without one word said, we know what he's there for. We know why he's in the ring. Comes out. Lesnar gives him the pen to sign it. He jams the pen through Lesnar's hand, then chokeslams Lesnar through the table. And there you go. Our streak match this year is Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. I don't know how it's going to go, guys. I don't know that if Undertaker could take the style that Brock Lesnar wrestles. I'm intrigued. I really am. I want to see this. I want to see what they're going to do with this. I really don't think Lesnar is any threat to the streak. The streak is bigger than anybody can ever imagine at this point. But I do want to see what goes on and how they have this match work out. Now, coming off of that, we're going to go on our ratings. If you've seen the show before, you know we have a 1 to 5 scale. If not, I'll explain it to you right now. 1's the lowest, 5's the best. 1's a Great Khali, 2's a Santino Marella, 3's a Damian Sandow, 4's a Cesaro, 5 is a Daniel Bryan. I'm going to give this show a 4, a Cesaro. A couple little hiccups that kept it from being a 5. The Hulk Hogan beginning really turned me off. I really want Hulk Hogan to be retired. Just my personal opinion. Again, I think he's an energy vampire that's only there to feed off others' energy to make him more popular or put himself over. But basically, that's what I have to say about that. My name is George Coles, and this has been another episode of Heel Heat.